Interesting. Wait, what? Zendaya's in the magazine. She's in the magazine promoting something to do with Tommy Hilfiger. Well, that's convenient. It's the brand of my glasses. This is kind of weird, isn't it? Is there any other pictures to do with it? Like, I mean, I'm not big on magazines. I don't really know how they work. I'm very sure it's like 200 pages of ads, and then you get finally get a table of contents. And there's got to be something, right? No? Yes? God, half of these are pages, half of these are not actual pages. God, how can you tell which one is which? Ah. There we go. Look, it's Zendaya. It be Zendaya. It's kind of convenient that I recently watched pretty much all the films and TV shows that she's been in, with like 2 exclusions. So let's talk about it. This is one of those great days when I decided to take a day off uni, and it's raining outside, so I can't film anything outside. And then when I try to film things inside, Dad takes a day off and watches James Bond movies at like 100 times the regular volume. So that's just great. So let's talk about Zendaya. So I'm trying to justify why there might be weird silences or weird cuts every now and again. Just saying. So let's not drop the microphone. Let's talk about Zendaya. As we all know, she has that weird name, which isn't actually weird. It's just her first name. Her professional name is just her first name. Just calm down. Calm down. Everyone has one. My name is Julian. Hi, how's it going? So yeah, I recently was watching that show that she's in. I think it's like really good. I believe it's called Euphoria. And I'm like, hey, look, it's like Skins, but it's 2019's American version. That's not bad. It's not bad. So let's talk about which one first. Oh, Zapped. What? We'll get to Euphoria. I apologize for the delay. So Zapped is a film that came out in like 2014, maybe? Yeah, 2014. Let's say 2014. It's a high school movie with Zendaya, and she plays a high school. She does it a lot, doesn't she? A lot of high school stuff. It's not just me, right? That you got Zapped. You've got the Spider-Man films, Homecoming and Far From Home. Euphoria, of course, her most recent. Frenemies is also high school. Shake It Up, high school. Casey Undercover, also high school. I think the only exceptions are probably Smallfoot, because she plays a foot that's animated. And The Greatest Showman, where she plays a foot that's animated. So because she plays a foot that's animated in both of these 2 films, we're not going to talk about them. We're just going to talk about the ones where she's in high school or middle school. I don't really know how the American school system works, so they say high school, but then they're like, no, it's actually middle school, but then you got the juniors and the seniors and the... I don't understand how American high school works. So every time I watch something that's American high school, I'm always confused. Are they graduating this year? No, they're in their first year. But wait, they said that they're sophomores, but they're in their second year? I don't get it. Are there like, is there like different buildings for different schools? How does it work? I don't know. Let's talk about Zapped. So my quote, of course, my lovely little quote, is everything is upside down, it's like Australia. I just thought it was an interesting line. It's no real historical or cultural relevance towards me. That's not why I chose the line at all. So yes, my grateful little review is high school films suck. Disney high school films suck, unless of course it's Sky High, because everyone knows Sky High is the best. Also, dance films set in high school suck. I mean, unless it's Bring It On, but you know that's the top tier shit. You know, I doubt any Disney film could ever reach that high. And why the frackin' doodles did I watch this? It's a good question. Apparently there's a moral of the story, which is don't use your smartphone. As in, Disney don't want you to use your smartphone. It's bad for the environment. So I'm going to start off with the bing, bang, boom, scala, da, ba, da, boom. But I'm going to cut that out. So I'm going to start with a little quote from Wikipedia. That same month, she was cast as the 16-year-old Zoe Stevens, the lead character in the Disney Channel original movie Zapped, whose smartphone begins to somehow control all the boys around her. It's based off a book called, like, Dogs Are Boys or something like that. Or Don't Dog the Boys, or Boys Are the Dogs. Dog Boy, Boy Dog? One of them. So I actually wrote down initial reactions. That's a rare one. We haven't done this in a while. Okay, they seem to be very specific ones. So my first reaction was when you meet the love interest of the film, Zendaya's character of Zoe Stevens. Stevens with a V, not a PH, because it's a surname, not a... it doesn't matter. She walks into a classroom that she's looking for a classroom. So she's new school and everything. And I should establish the plot. Oh, okay, so the first 5 minutes of the film, 2 minutes, the first minute and a half of the film is her at her mother's wedding to her stepfather, and she's complaining, like she's the bride thingy. What's the wedding? Who cares? She does all the talking because she's the maid of honor. That's what it is. I totally know what weddings are. And she's like, I love my mum, but now I'm in a house full of a dad and a brother and a brother and a brother, and oh, if that isn't all the boys, there's also a male dog. And then the dog screws some shit up, and oh, hilarious antics ensue because it's a Disney film. Oh, can't go without your Disney, your antics. Hoi, haha. So yeah, so she's at this new school because apparently they've moved into the guy's house. She's struggling with getting used to it all because she likes sleeping in. She likes spending an hour in the bathroom. She doesn't like anything messy or dirty or pancakes. I don't think she eats at all in this film. So there's a fun fact for you. But yeah, so she gets a tour as to what room she needs to go to first. She gets to that room, she opens the door, it's all dark, and there's a picture of a praying mantis on the screen, and she screams because of it. But that isn't the worst part. They then turn the lights on, someone just turns the lights on. The teacher's there like, I'm sorry, are you in the right room? And then she looks over at all the students, and one of them, who's in a sweet leather jacket, is wearing some shades in a dark room full of children. The actor, if you didn't know, is actually played by a guy who's 4 years older than our Zendaya, which means that if he's 4 years older, he's at least 20 by the time of filming this film. And yeah, he looks like he is. He looks like he's at least been shaving for the past 6 years. Let's move on. So yes, dude wears sunglasses inside a dark room surrounded by children. He then calls her smartphone because she's always on her phone because it's her life. Like every teenager, their phone is their life. Of course, let's move on. So this film is, of course, Disney criticizing children for their phones. How original. The film was also 95% ADR. I love that. I love when it completely brings me out of the film, which I'm watching on my laptop, because why would I buy this movie when something like Stan or other streaming services exist? Was this on Stan or Netflix? I think this was on Netflix. Either way, it's pretty bad. Actually, I think this one was on Stan, because Stan has all the Disney movies until Disney Plus comes out. Anyway, the film itself is shockingly sexist towards males, which I don't take much offense in because it's a stereotypical Disney movie made for the Disney Channel movie. You gotta make it different because of the budgets and the writers and the fact that they're both intended for children. But yeah, this film is actually really sexist towards females as well. It's like, oh, boys are all messy, they're like dogs, whereas girls are like cats who are superficial and will scratch you to death and then take your soul. That wasn't in my script. Shit. Yeah, so this film is like a lazy version of Bring It On meets Mean Girls, but doesn't have any of the Mean Girls attributes outside of the cliche stereotypical school stuff, except that it's really poorly written because you can tell the writers are shit. This is not like Mean Girls at all. Mean Girls is fucking great in comparison. This is like the most rotten of tomatoes, I guess. Who eats tomatoes anyway? Yuck, Jesus Christ. Tomato sauce is the way to go, boys. Where was I? So our stereotypical blonde bitch, the one who's the bad guy, kind of, not really, but yeah, I guess, is the one who says our favourite line of everything is upside down. It's like Australia, get it? It's like a joke. It's like the writers were like, hey, do you remember that Simpsons episode where everything was upside down because they're in Australia? Oh, yeah, that's good. So make of that joke. Oh. My eyes are tearing up because of how painful this movie is. So yes, Zendaya. Let's talk about Zendaya's hair extensions. Let's talk about her costume design. Costume design is atrocious. Everyone's costume design in Disney original channel movies are atrocious, and I have proof. Watch all of these movies. Except for the big budget ones that are Marvel movies. Anyway, and Euphoria. That one's got pretty good costume design. It's pretty accurate. So yes, Zendaya wears a shirt that says boys during the final scene, the climactic dance scene. Okay, let's actually talk about Zendaya. So, she's why we're here. Wait, okay. So yeah, she can act, that's very obvious, but holy shit, is this writing and directing and everything about this movie terrible. Like, it's obvious that it's like Disney's like, Zendaya is a really good actor and people like her, especially of this modern era, because she's like a fashion icon and she can sing and she can dance, as we've categorized in her past 2 TV shows and movie. So let's just give her another movie where she does exactly the same shit that she's done before, except she won't have Bella Thorne because nobody really likes Bella Thorne anymore. Then we'll make her a movie star. Yeah. Yeah. So it's very obvious that Zendaya can act. That doesn't mean you should watch this movie. This movie's pretty terrible. Even for children, I would probably prefer to die, or watch one of those channels that's just ads. That would probably be more educational and entertaining than watching this movie. So, yes, I gave this film 1 star. Let's just hope that, let's thank God that she doesn't do any more of these Disney films anymore. These Disney films, the ones intended for children. Fuck. I guess we should talk about the other Disney films intended for children. Let's talk about Spider-Man, Homecoming, and Far From Home. So what are we talking about now? We're talking about Spider-Man. This is the wrong Spider-Man. Let's try the other one. This is the right Spider-Man. I would have grabbed the Amazing Spider-Man one, but I don't have it because I'm not an idiot. Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home, which is yet to be released on Blu-ray and DVD. Probably will be by the time this video comes out. Either way, point being, I've already seen it twice in theatre. Doesn't matter. I mean, look. Homecoming gets an easy 3.5 stars. Far From Home, 3.5 stars. Why am I giving you my review straight away without actually talking about anything of the films? Because you've already seen them, probably. Most likely. I mean, come on, they're fucking Marvel movies. Why? I mean, I'm not gonna say why wouldn't you have, but a lot of audiences love Spider-Man. Even if you don't like the whole MCU shenanigans, you still love Spider-Man. So what can we really say about Zendaya? Well, Zendaya plays MJ. In this case, Michelle Jones. And what can I really say about her performance? She doesn't do much in the first film. She has a very obvious style of character. She's very nuanced. She's very withdrawn from other people. Very kind of socially not acquainted with the others, which is different to regular MJ, Mary Jane character, where she's, dating the jock high schoolers or whatever. So they've obviously changed that for our generation of more social anxiety kind of people, which is fair enough. And, I mean, let's be fair, she does a decent enough performance in the first one. Nobody could really complain, because it's like, when they finally revealed that she was MJ, it's like, oh, I'm Michelle, but people call me MJ, my friends call me MJ. And that, you get that line right after that being like, oh, I didn't know you had any friends. So it's straight away you get exactly what the hell kind of a character she is, but she also has an interest in Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. So, if we're going to talk about Spider-Man, we're not going to talk about Spider-Man, he's fine, who cares. Let's talk about Spider-Man Far From Home, where she has a much bigger role, because she is not just the love interest, she is also the villain. Now, what can I say? If it wasn't for her, our hero, Mysterio, would have won. And the whole world will be full of images and projections, and there will be no actual real bad guys, because no actual real bad guys would exist, because they would all be holographic projections. But no. Zendaya, the bad guy, had to ruin the good guy's plan and be like, no. Let's accidentally grab this holographic projector and then gave it to Spider-Man, who would then activate it and show off the fact that it is a holographic projector. I mean, in terms of her performance, she's great. There's no real problems. She's never really had a bad acting gig outside of the really cringy early Disney stuff, but we'll get to that later. There's not really much I feel like I should say. Like, she still plays that same character from the first film, which is a little bit more developed. There's nothing more on, like, her backstory or anything. It's more or less her relationship with Peter, because that's what we're focusing on. Because we have to give more reason for why she is the villain. Because, of course, she has to, manipulate the mind of the hero, which is the whole entire point of her character. And it really sucks, because I really liked her, and I hate that she doesn't die in the end, It sucks that they have to kill off our hero, which is really rare for a Marvel film, to actually kill off the hero. Unless they were a bad guy turned hero, or it's like, hey, their contract has expired and it's 10 years later, and bye-bye Iron Boy. It's like, yeah, well, Zendaya has to stay around because she is the love interest to Spider-Man, which really, really sucks. Spider-Man's questionable as to whether he's the hero or the anti-hero. We all heard what J. Jonah Jameson said at the end of that film, like, if it wasn't for Spider-Man, our boy hero, Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal, for God's sake, he would be alive if it wasn't for Spider-Boy. So, my views are very conflicted on Zendaya. She's a great actress. Her performance in this film is great. Her pop vinyl is just so pointless, but it's like, hey, remember that scene where she has that Spucky Axe Club thingy? I think it's a mace. I don't care, because I don't like her character, because she's the bad guy. And she didn't lose, and it's just... It's not uncommon for Marvel characters for Marvel bad guys to win. It's not uncommon for them to lose. Sometimes when they lose, they actually die. And what can I really say? If they die, then you don't get some of the bad guys to come back again. But then it's like, it's not a Batman villain where they just get put up in prison, then they break out again, kill more people, and they get put back in prison. That whole shabuckle. So I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Zendaya should have. I don't know. Maybe she shouldn't have been killed off. Like, because then you've been introducing Gwen Stacy, and it's just like, oh, but not Gwen Stacy again. We've already seen her, and she was crap in fucking Amazing Spider-Man. Even though Emma Stone is a great actress. So yeah, and I mean, we all want Gwen Stacy to come back as Spider-Verse Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, not as, or Spider-Woman, depends on how she would call herself, of course. So, yeah, I guess that's probably why they kept her alive, and because they're like, oh, well, she's already MJ, we don't really want to bring in the actual Mary Jane, we want to wait till he's, old enough to legally smoke weed. Yeah, so, cool, both of these films get a good whopper of a 3.5 stars. And let's move on to our next film. What is our next film? Let's talk about... actually, this is quite a long one. Yeah, okay, maybe we'll actually just talk about Euphoria, because let's be honest, I don't want to talk about frenemies yet. Let's make sure you're tuned in still. Euphoria is fucking great. It's much like a film, TV show thingy. Now, I know it's rare enough that for me to review a TV show. In fact, this is probably one of the only times I ever will. But there's also this show called Skins. It's a British show. You might know some of the actors, Nicholas Hoult, Dev Patel. Just to name 2 of them that I actually know the real life names of. Kind of feels rude of me to not know the rest of them, but doesn't actually have any of them more than names. That doesn't matter. It's a good show. See, this is what Euphoria is. Except it's not British, and it's American, obviously, and it's for 2019's audience of teenagers. I mean, let's be fair. They do base a whole entire episode pretty much around dick pics. So they don't do that in Skins, because their mobile phones they had in the mid to late 2000s were the regular flip phones. So, we don't really have that anymore. We've got this shit. Anyway, what can I say for my pros? Because it's weird enough, it's hard to really review a TV show as it is. Like, I mean, you get a lot more hours with it, you get a lot more stuff with the character. Like, I'm rewatching all Breaking Bad right now and just realizing, like, I mean, look, I already knew the show was fantastic when I watched it my first 3 times. But now on my 4th or 5th, whatever time it is this time around, it's just like, oh, it's so good to, like, have a, you've watched it back when it came out all the way to when it ended, and you rewatched it because you loved it so much, and there was nothing that was as good as it until Game of Thrones came into your life. Then Game of Thrones disappointed you in its last 2.5 seasons, and you're like, I need something good. And then they're like, hey, El Camino's coming out. Hey, it's a Breaking Bad movie. And I'm like, shit, alright, I'm going to watch Breaking Bad again, because Better Call Saul isn't coming out for another year for the next season, and that already is fantastic, and I've already rewatched all of that this year because season 4 was fantastic. Breaking Bad just has great performances. So Euphoria does too, for the most part. I'm not going to criticize any of the worst. I mean, all the performances are good, I guess. There's no real bad performances. But we're not talking about everyone. We're talking about Zendaya. So, criticisms of the show. I have criticisms, of course. Why wouldn't I? So the show of course, has this pretense of being cliche. The show, of course, revolves around Zendaya's character, who she's just gone out of rehab, and so you've got the generic, oh, it's like the second to final year or something. I don't know. They're fucking high schools. I don't know what year level they're in, because I don't understand the high school system of America. It doesn't make any sense. So they're in, I'd say, year 10 to 12. Old enough that they can't exactly legally have drinks or have drugs, and so hence they go out and party and do that stuff. Cliche number 1. Partying. It's all your kind of cliches wrapped up in the one ball. Like, what's that film that came out this year? Fuck, it was really good. Olivia Wilde directed it. Oh my god, I can't remember what it's called. That irritates me. So there's a film that came out earlier this year, and I was watching it thinking, oh, I hate this kind of genre. I hate the high school formula. If we're in our final year or second to final year, and we're going to go out and drink and have drugs and party and whatever, and have a lot of sex, or whatever the fuck, because it's high school. And if it isn't a Disney movie, it's obviously more depressing. But I like this movie that I'm thinking of now, which is called Booksmart. That's the one. It just has a unique style to itself. It's got a unique presence. The characters are really enjoyable, but they're realistic enough. Some are cartoony, of course, because, let's be realistic, we don't want an actual real-life Year 12 level film, because it's like, we've all been through that shit. It's boring as hell. I mean, look, if you are the kind of stereotype in America or even in whatever other country where you go around, you drink, you take drugs, and you do all that stuff, then hey, good for you. You're probably not watching these shows anyway. You're so fucking high off your own horse, you're like, fuck, Marvel movies are so cool. But then you got someone like me, who I would argue my Year 12 was pretty generic. Every day we played Foursquare, which is that down ball game where you bounce a ball through 4 squares and that stuff. Anyway, it was pretty much that every day. I had my talk show that I was doing for YouTube because holy crap was Year 12 boring. Some of the classes were fun, yeah, the teachers were fun and had some relationships and friendships that went all over the place. Everyone has their drama. Everyone was so anxious and scared for their final exams and oh my god, what am I going to do next year? Am I going to take a gap year? Am I going to get a job? I have to go into the adult world and get into university and explosions in your brain. But I didn't care. I was so relaxed and chilled that whole entire year that I didn't stress a single bit. And it's interesting to see something like Booksmart, which already in my review, I'm getting back to Euphoria, I know. Already in my review of that film as it is, I criticised not the film, but the audience. Because most of the audience who are like 25 and above are all like, oh, this is like my high school days and being like all nostalgic and stuff. Even though it's not true. And it just pisses me off when I see that kind of review. It's really hard to explain, but it's like watching someone brag about... looking at a reviewer talk about a film like Booksmart and bragging about their own experiences in conjunction to this film and being like, yeah, that was like my Year 12, we all heard those jocks and those girls who were like so this and whatever the crap. I don't care. Because I can't relate. So I'm watching a film like Booksmart, I can't relate. But I enjoyed it because it's really well done. Euphoria, I enjoyed it. I got a bit bored. I mean, it's kind of one of those shows where I just kept going back to my phone, even though visually it's very good. The acting is terrific. The writing, the directing, poof. Yes, you have the cliche formula because you kind of have to have that. You need your drama. It can't be realistic all the time, every time. Most of the realism comes from kind of how the characters talk and how they interact and how they deal with their problems and their situations. Like, some of it's cliche drama, yes, but sometimes you have to go through that to get to the real stuff, the real heart and soul of the characters, which is nicely done, of course. And Euphoria captures that really well. Now, of course, I can't relate to the show. I didn't go around drinking or going to parties or drugs or anything like that. Like, the stuff that you would expect to do in your final year or in your final day if it's Booksmart, or in your final 2 years, whatever year, what the hell fucking Euphoria is set. So I can't relate to it exactly, and especially it being like a 2019 thing, a lot of culture and society has changed since I graduated from high school. It's not overly different, it's pretty much the same. I guess I just don't take half as much notice anymore because I'm in uni and I don't care. I have my own life to worry about. But yeah, so it has that life and formula. Like, I watched Skins when I was growing up, not expecting my life to be like that, to be like drugs and alcohol and sex and violence and all that kind of stuff. I saw that and was like, oh, this is like a kind of foreboding warning, maybe, and that's kind of how I took it. Like, I enjoyed it, everything about the show was great, and that's kind of how I looked at it. Every 2 years you had a different generation of kids, all going through different but sometimes similar problems, and you kind of realize how it's all kind of a commentary on youth society right now, and that's especially what Euphoria is, because it's a commentary on post 9/11 youth society and how the trauma and anxiety from their parents has developed into their kids, and hence why our main character gets addicted to drugs, outside of the fact that her father gets cancer, and that's where she first starts taking drugs. And Zendaya is great in it. She perfectly really encapsulates a character, a person who would be dealing with such social anxieties, the feelings that she gets towards Jules, who also is terrific. Fuck, so many of the characters in this film, in this show are terrific. And the performances are outstanding. Like, Zendaya alone is amazing, but everyone else, both backing her up and being their own things, because every episode is about a particular character, which is kind of the formula as it is. Orange is the New Black, for example. You've got your cold open, you've got your flashback scenes, or talking about specific things, or relating specifically to this character, while we develop the main narrative with both our side characters, our main characters, and the story as a whole. I mean, I also went into this show thinking it was a limited event series, but then I realized, nope, there's a season 2 coming out, which is fine. It's a good show. I'll probably watch it for a second season, given how much I liked the first season. I liked the differences, the stuff that this show does that other shows can't do or wouldn't be able to do. Like, Skins would be doing this if it was still around today. Like, wholeheartedly, I believe it would be doing this. And yeah, so Zendaya is fantastic in this show. You can tell. I mean, look, you can tell from her earliest shit that she can act, and hot damn, can she act in this show? So yes, my criticism is the fact that I can't really relate to it all because I didn't have that kind of experience. But at the same time, my mother's watching it; she's loving the show. Can she relate? Probably not. Does it matter? Probably not, because you're not really there to relate half the time. But because they're close to my age, that's how I feel. And now that's my specific reaction to it. You could be in your 30s, you could be in your mid to late teens. If you're in your mid to late teens, you ain't watching this show unless you're probably older than 16, which is mostly the demographic, 16 and older. Because it is a MA15 plus show in Australia, of course. So, yeah, I mean, I really respect the value of it being such a criticism of the American youth generation of the time, especially in the post 9/11 world. I mean, come on, the first episode literally has our main character, Zendaya's character, establishing, I was born 3 days after 9/11, you know. It's just like, boom, slap, bang, hardcore reality right in your face. And it really tackles that stuff. Like, there are a lot of looks of this show that are very 80s-esque with their neon lights and stuff. Like, they're like, hey, look, it's like Stranger Things if it wasn't about monsters, but the monsters were in fact our own personal demons. And it's not the 80s, but it looks like the 80s, but it doesn't, because we're such a nostalgic culture. That's the way we present ourselves now. It's a really good and really clever show. Outside of its performances and its writing, the way it's just done, the way it's showcased, is really spot on. So I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Mostly just that negative half a star, just because, for me, the relatability aspect and also the cliched aspect. But outside of that, it's good stuff. It's quality TV. And I highly recommend you watch it. And this is hence why it's one of the only TV shows I might talk about, because it's like, I don't have to watch that much. Neither do you. First season's out, second season's coming out next year. Go ahead and watch it. It's perfect time to. I could just enjoy it for the fact that I could watch it and be like, cool, I could actually do a review for Zendaya after watching this show. Any other criticisms I should note? Sometimes it's narratively confusing with the jumps in time, but at the same time you got to just really pay attention. I mostly say this because you have Zendaya backstory stuff, which half the time, not half the time, but some of the time I couldn't really tell if it was a flashback or not, because there wasn't any defining feature. Most of the time it's either her hair is shorter or longer, or she's played by a younger actress, or her mother's hair is longer or shorter, or her dad's alive. So I guess there's enough time stuff. That's just a me thing. It's not anything else. And of course the prose, Zendaya is terrific. The whole show is fantastic. Let's talk about frenemies now. Another one of those cream of the crop Disney original movies. Anyway, so what can I say? My quote, of course, I have to look at cow poop. Ugh, this better get me an A. So I will admit that there are lines in this film that are predictable and cliche, but are also have some really hilarious puns, which is kind of weird, but I think it's just because you're kind of grasping at the straws when you realize how fucking bad this movie is. So yeah. This film comes in 3 beautiful little stories. Have you ever heard of those things where, like, every act of the film is actually its own individual story? It's, like, so clever. How did I never think of that when I wrote nothing? Because I have never been able to write a film before. That's alright. I wouldn't do this kind of a formula anyway. It's an anthology, but it's all connected with the same characters for no reason, because Zendaya and Bella Thorne exist, I guess. There's my microphone. Hello. I'm sorry. What? No, my microphone's over here. What do you mean? Sup, my dudes? Shit, my phone turned off. So yes, let's do this. I'm gonna break this microphone. I'm gonna put it down. It's an expensive microphone. Act 1, dog vs. bitch. Not pun intended. The writing and story are more are predictable and awful. The dog better be an animatronic dog, because I cannot imagine him ruling the world. Score 2.5 stars out of 5 for quick pacing, decent acting, and puns / predictably bad dialogue. That's what I had to say on the first act. And Zendaya's only in it for this opening narration, for like a bee's dick of it. Actually, her and Bella Thorne show up at one stage, be like, "Wow, I love the way you dress, but let's change you up because we're fashionistas and we're 12. Hey, we're popular." None of the main characters even know who the hell they are, and they are the main characters. Act 2, Zendaya versus the non-Zendaya character. I think her name's Bella Thorne, but I don't really know. So let's be realistic and wholeheartedly honest. I don't like the dynamic between Zendaya and Bella Thorne. I've had to watch plenty of things with them in it because of this fucking review, including their TV show, Shake It Up. And they have the same dynamic. One is one kind of a character, the other one is the other character. It's like a yin and yang thing, but the problem is I hate them both. So that's some fun for you. The film was written by a man but directed by a girl, yet is still a Disney original film. Don't really know what... I should say it's directed by a woman. I apologize for that. I don't really know why that's so noteworthy, but I guess it's the fact that the majority of the main characters are all girls. I'm not saying guys can't write good female characters, but in this case, for children's films, they're exceptionally fucking predictably stereotypical, and I hate them. And I kind of feel insulted that a guy ended up writing this, but at the same time, I don't think Disney takes that many risks. Well, not with this small, minuscule stuff that isn't a big budget remake of some crap they've already done, because why do they need to make risks when they've done the same shit over and over and over again? So, I got a quote for this one, wow. Do I look like a person with a sense of humour? Okay, there is a character in this film I actually really like. It's none of the main cast. The main in this part, because of course the first part is about the kid and his dog and their best friends, but then a girl who tries to get good marks by dating him, and they're like 12, I forget, causes the drift between the boy and the dog, and then the dog gets revenge, and the boy realizes it doesn't matter, it's pointless, it's a shitty moral of the story of don't trust the bitch in apartment 23 kind of stuff. Anyway, in this one, the main 2 girls have have a weblog, and they get hired to make it professional, and they have to do 2 different review thingies because so the woman can find out if which one of them is capable of doing this thing by himself. So of course it breaks them up as best friends, and they have this whole thingy, but instead of it being the most generic cliche fight of let's look out the window in the rain and whatever, which is good, it's good they didn't do that route. Instead of it does this whole entire other thing, it's just crap. But this woman who defines them is called Jessalyn Wanham, who plays Cherie St. Clair. That's the actress's name, Jessalyn. She is fantastic. I mean, she's in her 20s, maybe 30s. I don't know. She's not a teenager, obviously. And so she's the magazine executive who wants to buy Geek Chic, spelled CHIC. I guess that might be how you pronounce that word anyway. Okay. So, which is an online magazine run by the girls. She's easily the best part of this whole entire film, no matter how small a role she has. Hence why she says, "Do I look like a person who has a sense of humor?" Like, she just, the way she says everything and delivers all her lines are fantastic, and I don't really even, by the time she comes in, you don't give a shit that you just wasted 25-30 minutes watching the first story, because by the time you get to her, you're like, oh my god, can I turn this movie off now, because I think I've just seen the best thing I'm going to see in this whole entire movie. And you're right, turn it off when you see her performance, because after they leave her office, because she's like only back for like one scene and she's crap in that next scene. Yeah, so that's all I can really say about this segment. It's still cliche, it's still dull, not as bad and as funny as the first segment, outside of St. Clair's character, because the first one has all the shitty puns, this one has St. Clair, so I prefer St. Clair over the puns, but at the same time, at least the puns were consistent and throughout the whole entire movie. That's literally all I can say about the segment. I don't care about the narrative, I don't care about the characters. It's just, I don't care about Bella Thorne, I'm sorry. And Zendaya is just, look, again, it's one of those things, you can tell she can act, but the problem is the fact that she's so restricted, because she's obviously part of this dichotomy team, which doesn't help when you're trying to review one person, but it's like, oh, they're being restricted to one role only, and they're like, so monotone in this performance. She's still good, though. I don't know, she just has a natural talent to herself, which is very commendable. So as I said, it's strange, but it's as if Zendaya can't show dynamic range because she's forced into a dynamic duo where she has one set of emotions, and Bella Thorne has the other set of emotions. Moral of the story again is that I don't care, and the costume designs are atrocious, and the fact that a whole generation of kids grew up watching Disney original channel films and thought that these were appropriate dress codes, especially if you go to one of those schools, primary, secondary, or tertiary. No, tertiary, of course, you have to dress up in casual. Primary or secondary, where you have to dress up in casual clothes. I never had that. I had uniform, thank frickin' God, because if I had to be wearing casual goddamn clothes every day and trying to make myself look good, I would die from probably pure embarrassment of being alive. So yeah, Act 3, nobody cares the end. Actually wait, there is the good girl Savannah, that's her name, Savannah from Act 1, the love interest, who reveals the evil blonde girl's plan in the whole first act, doesn't matter, has a British twin. Is that, who cares, skip it, it's boring, you've seen it before. Do you remember that other Disney film of Lindsay Lohan and the other Lindsay Lohan? They swap. It's like Parent Trap, except it's crap, and it's like 35 minutes long. And it ends with a dance sequence. Yeah, dance. Oh my god, I wanna die. Yeah. Just realised I didn't go off screen that whole entire time, but I don't care. You get the point. Overall, don't kid yourself with this shit, except for those bad pockets of hilarious dialogue and that one actress who was fantastic. 1 star for bad, hilarious dialogue and the actress. 1 star out of 5. Frenemies, okay. Now we get to the exceptional part. The part that makes me go, why the fuck am I wasting my time with this crap? Let's talk about 2 episodes. One pilot, the other one, the pilot. Oh, hey. Of course, Shake It Up and Casey Undercover. So she started with Shake It Up with Bella Thorne. The first episode, the first scene, oh look, we're on a set, but it totally isn't meant to look like a set, it's actually a train station. We're gonna do a dance-off. A fucking dance-off. And nobody gives us money. And we want phones. And the whole plot of the episode, doesn't matter because by the end of the episode, they don't even get their phones. I think it's like a series-long arc, I guess. The season ends when they get their mobile phones. I don't care, I'm not watching anymore. After watching the first episode, I wanted to die. Also, I could only find the first episode bootleg on YouTube. Thank God for that. Didn't have to pay a fucking dollar. I mean, can I really say anything about it? Again, you have this forced dynamic duo effect, and it's just like Frenemies, except it's like 2 seasons long, and it's painful because every episode they have to dance, and they're like, wow, look, they can really dance. And it's like, but they're not that good at it. Like, you can tell they're good enough, but they're not great, and the thing that gets them into the TV show of Shake It Up, which is a show I still don't understand, because I don't know if it's like Australia's Got Talent, or if it's like, yo, you're gonna dance on TV for like half an hour, once a week, and that's it. You're not even gonna be like eliminated or anything. I don't know, because they didn't explain it. You know, they're like, wow, remember Shake It Up? This is now Shake It Up Chicago. Do you know that show? Do you know that show? I'm like, no, I don't know that show, because it doesn't exist. I don't know what's happening right now. You've also got your bad dynamics of, like, the mum is a character, and the younger brother is a character, and they're all caricatures. It's horrible. It's atrocious. I hate it. So yes, watching this shit, you'd really question who the hell wrote it, even with the few episodes that I watched, aka the one episode that I watched. Zendaya is terrible and annoying in this. Like, look, like I've been saying this whole freaking episode, this whole freaking video, it's obvious that she can act, but in this, no good directing or writing would ever save. Oh, I mean, actually, good writing and directing would save her, because she's probably maybe a bit too young. I mean, look, she's like 12 or 13. Point being, she can act, but not that well, because it's cringy as hell. I didn't write that part over. That's great. Yeah, so it's pretty atrocious. It's just as bad as her performance in Frenemies, except worse, because she's forced to dance in every episode, except for, like, in Frenemies, they just have that random one dance scene. And in Frenemies, she's like this character who's like, I'm a smart writer, and my friend does stuff. I don't know, it's like going back to Breaking Bad, it's like Walter White does the cooking, what does Jesse Pinkman do? Oh, correction, Jesse Pinkman sells the shit. Boom. Bella Thorne does nothing, because Bella Thorne is worthless. I can't even give this a star rating because I want to die. So yeah, I guess I can't give this show a rating. I would give it maybe half a star, or 1 star, probably half a star, because everything about it is worse. At least Frenemies had something nice and something worth watching about the whole entire disaster. This is just crap. So let's talk about the last thing in this list, which of course is Casey Undercover, which she had 3 seasons of from 2015 to 2018, while she was doing Spider-Man. I don't know why I went so high-pitched with that, either way. I mean, I watched the first episode, it's not bad. Like, this is post her doing all those, like, Frenemies and all the other Disney original movies, and she's finally the lead of her own movie, the lead of her own TV show without Bella Thorne. And you can tell she can act. That's very obvious, and it's fun, it's nice, it's good to see that she can fucking act. But because it's still a Disney TV show, you've still got boring-ass characters and caricatures, and everything about it is lame as shit. And the first episode, she finds out her parents are spies, and that she's actually a super genius. Wow, how relatable. And then they're like, you have to do an assignment, which is catch the bad guy who's at your school, because we need you to infiltrate your school, which doesn't make any sense, because she's already in the school, but it does make sense, because she's in the school. And she has to go to the school dance. Oh, what? She has to go to a dance? No. what? And then she finds out the bad guy is this cute dude that she likes who just showed up anyway, and she realizes like 20 seconds after she finds him cute that he's the bad guy, which is totally obvious. God knows what the hell even happens to him. He just gets like chained up and then just... It also has a laugh track. Same as Shake It Up. They're like, whoa. Actually, I don't think Shake It Up has a laugh track. It doesn't really... I know it does. It definitely it has to. I already can't remember because I don't like it. It's slowly disintegrating from my memory. Whereas Casey Undercover is much fresher because it was like I watched it just before doing this video. And you've still got you got your laugh track because it's really painful, and then you've got your whoa, whoa, that one part where she walks in to the room where everyone else is dressed up because it's the dance formal thing. It looks like a really bad dance formal thing because Disney, I can't afford a budget for it. She walks in, look at me, I'm wearing a dress, and they're all like, wow, who, what the fuck, who just swore in our TV show? Get off the set. So yeah, it's decent. I'd probably give it more of a based on the first episode and probably the fact that it lasted 3 seasons and that there's more Kim Possible level stuff in it. Like it's like Kim Possible but not animated because it doesn't need to be. So look, you'd probably have your cheese and stuff, but at least it's tasty cheese, not blue cheese. So I'd probably give it 3 stars just because it's like, it's just generic enough, and I would, if I was a kid, I'd probably watch it and be like, yeah, this is the bomb, dude. But of course, it came out while I was in high school, and I wasn't a child then, or I didn't have the aspects of a child that would enjoy this show. So, in fact, because mid-teens, I would have been exceptionally critical of it and just been like, what the fuck, Zendaya's crap. Why would I ever watch anything with her in it? Hot diggity dog. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to watch it, go for it. But at the same time, if you're older than the age of 8 or 12, I'd say 12, don't waste your time. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching another episode. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more. If you want to see more reviews with actors and stuff, well, who do we have? Just did Nicolas Cage, a 2-parter. Hoi, that was quite the experience. Keanu Reeves, Audrey Plaza, Dakota Johnson, Cara Delevingne, who started it all, and Masami Nagasawa, my currently most popular episode because it's Japanese, I guess. And soon I will be doing Johnny Depp. So yeah, cool. Those should be there on the screen. Feel free to look at any of them. Subscribe for more. I'm doing this like every month. Maybe twice a month, depending on what time I can get for it. But we're getting into the big, thicker uni season right now. So by the time this comes out, I won't have time to film as much anymore. That's all right. I'll get around to Johnny Depp. His movies are still there. Not hard to lose them. Yeah. Bye. Jeez, Mom. God, you're ruining my recordings. God.